Talking about schooling during a pandemic, what that looks like, even as we expect Form 4, Standard 8s and Grade 4 pupils to report back to school next week, at least those whose parents feel comfortable in that happening, because I'm getting a lot of messages from parents who are saying maybe we'll take a week or two first to look at the situation before we allow children to go back to school. Nevertheless, a bit earlier on today, a couple of hours ago actually, Dr. Gitai, head of AMREF Africa, actually posted a video talking a little bit about some of the medical thinking behind back to school. We've cut a bit of that video. Let's play a snippet of it now.
The risks that may be involved in children, through COVID-19. So our advice is we need to reopen schools cautiously, knowing that we are going to live with this virus, and therefore we reopen schools with the considerations, number one, of how do we reduce crowding. For situations where you can reduce crowding, then phased reopening is an alternative, where you have different classes going on different days. For places where we can actually social distance, then you can have, everyone going back to school. So it is time to refocus our efforts on ensuring that every school-going child is aware of the use of hand washing through water and soap, and keeps that hygiene, and also communicates that back to their families and to their communities. And finally, ensuring that as much as possible there is proper ventilation and aeration in the closed spaces where children learn, and where possible, by age, children to wear masks where possible, because we know that it's going to be very difficult to make sure that very young children in elementary school wear masks.
Dr. Gitai adding his voice to this discussion. It's part of a longer video that you can find on his Twitter handle, just in case you want to better understand the context. But I'm seeing parents, people saying here, why disorient a whole year calendar? Can't we wait for 2 months, open in January? Why the hurry after staying at home for all these months? This is Mrs. Momanyi from Nakuru. Janet, one of the other issues that we also need to look at is the fate of candidates whose private schools are no longer in existence. They shut down during the time of the lockdown. And that's something that you've actually addressed in a comment that you shared with the newsrooms earlier. I can give you a second just to talk about that, because a lot of parents are also asking about that as well.
Yeah, it is a genuine concern. I already have a few of the schools here that have already closed down, and they're not going to be opening post-COVID. And I think it just brings to the fore the question of how flexible are we? Are children or parents able to just walk their children across to the public school that is there and they're able to get admission? Of course, we know practically that there are a lot of hindrances there. You're supposed to pay a lot of money to access schools. And those are some of the policy issues that we would really want to see the minister addressing. I think the challenges that have been brought up by COVID are not just about washing hands and masks. There are so many other issues that are brought to the fore. COVID has introduced a whole new dimension. There are parents that are saying, I am now doing homeschooling for my children. There are parents who still feel, funny. Is our system as flexible? And also the question of, there are those who feel comfortable still, going forward with the online learning. Are we that flexible, or we still exist in this dictatorship that everybody must go back to school? I think those are some of the policy questions that really need to come up. But above all, looking at the reopening of schools, the overriding statement is that we should not leave any child behind. And that is where you see the concern is coming in terms of saying, we wish there was a little bit more time so that everybody can feel comfortable and everybody can have some time to prepare. But in the absence of that, I think we also have to call government to order and say that surely it is not very responsible to not facilitate schools to prepare to reopen.
Okay, you've asked an interesting question, not leaving any child behind, and I want to bring in Zach on this. Zach, I hope we still have you on the line. You can respond to what Janet said, even as you take this question, coming in from Franklin Wambugu. I hope it's the Franklin Wambugu I know, saying, kindly ask Zach this. Are students just going to return to class without any sort of testing, particularly the grade 4s? And who will bear the cost of testing as part of the measures that have been put in place? Temperature checking is not enough. Remember, most cases are asymptomatic. So 2 questions for you. One on testing of those who are going back to school, teachers, I guess especially, but children as well. But also, what happens to parents who say we're not going to allow our children back in school just yet?
Thank you very much, and asante tena Wahiga. Let me pick from where Janet left by saying that the whole idea is to ensure that that is a clarion call for the government of the Republic of Kenya as we reopen school, that regardless of whatever circumstances that may prevail, others may be loss of income from parents, others may have dropped out of being displaced from to live, maybe from urban centers have gone back to rural centers. Others may be as serious as secondary boarding schools that will no longer reopen and that will no longer be existing after a full-blown reopen. That will be. The idea of government is that every child, according to Article 53, deserves basic right education.
Okay.
And this is not a negotiable constitutional provision. This is a mandatory constitutional provision which the government of Kenya is going to for every willing learning child. So how to achieve that is what we have said, that instead of prolonged anxiety of when our children are going to return, when our children are going to sit exams, instead of when or whether and how they are going to ever return, whether before 2020 or after 2020, is what we are trying to provide as government. Remember, Wahiga, this is a global pandemic precipitated in such times when no government in the world was ready.
Zach, I hope you're getting to answer my questions. I think you've given a good opening statement.
No government, American,
but I want you to answer my questions.
Yes.
Go ahead. Answer my questions, please.
Well, I'll answer the question. I'm just saying the idea of ensuring that everybody is brought on board as far as reopening is concerned is our greatest looking forward point. That one will be done. This one of people arguing that children must be, or how government is going to ensure children are tested, that question is not an easy question to answer, because you remember the CS earlier on had said that teachers should be tested, and there was backlash. That noise, as I said, a responsive government listened to the people and decided it is not possible to test teachers en masse. And this one was revised. So now, taking us again back to the question of testing teachers, rather testing is not a very easy matter to undertake. And this can be advised, as we have said, by the Ministry of Health. You see, Maura, the question that we must answer, which we are being forced again to bring to fore, by parents, is a question which I have had clearly or are prepared to bring that back. They have given a week, they have been given a month. Others are arguing that we should have waited for 2 months. All these arguments are valid and all these arguments have a place. But the place of the majority, the place of reason, the place of logic for government is children need a transition plan. As COVID-19 curve is flattening, because it has not flattened. The virus still lives amongst us. How does the government provide a platform of transition? How do we exit the children? How do we exit the young adults who are doing examination, practical science courses? How do we transition them, even as we try to reopen economy, as we try to allow gatherings to resume normally and slowly? How do we transition education? You remember, out of the government ministry, the Ministry of Education was the greatest casualty, having been hardest hit because our clients, the children, were suspended from their daily operation on what services we offer, which is knowledge, without a clear return. So I am urging Kenyans, Waiga Maura, through this good program of viewers, to cooperate with us by allowing us to do phased reopening of basic education institution. And that is grade 4 for the sake of survival of competency-based curriculum, which is now being rolled out, class 8, and the examinations have been given for 22nd March. And then we go to Form 4. This is a clear strategy that the government has laid. This is a clear plan that everybody can talk about. When others are coming, Wahiga, will be the same credible platforms that has been done. So any other question that may be brought to the government, we are ready to answer. Any suggestion that will be brought to us as government, we are ready to listen to it, look at it, apply knowledge and information and intelligence that we may be possessing, and we will listen to.
Okay, I'm going to have to interrupt you because
responsive government,
CS, Zach, I'm going to interrupt you because whereas you're making some valid points, unfortunately your connection is still a bit fuzzy, and so let me interrupt you for now to allow some quick reactions. Janet, I can give you 30 seconds because we need to hear from Sec Gen Sosion. I've seen you shaking your head in disagreement as CS spoke. What's your take?
No, I think the only person that is not being cooperative here is the government. Because parents are the parents who are ready, you know, and the only two questions that are coming up is this: if you knew that we were going to open on Monday, why didn't you tell us last Monday? Parents are only asking, we wish you could have given us a little bit more time. It is not a crime for people to ask their government to be sensitive to their needs. It is not a crime. And two, this is a government that is opening schools against a zero money situation, and a certain principal is texting me here and asking me, how does the government expect principals to undertake these preparations without resources? So clearly, who is being uncooperative here? It is the government.
Janet, in your view, why do you think this decision was made? Do you have a theory? You sound very clear in that this is not the right way to do this, but do you have a theory on why it was done nevertheless?
I have been very consistent in saying that it is not logical to continue keeping children at home. That I've been consistent about. What I am contesting is a decision of standing up one day and telling us schools are opening tomorrow because of the logistical issues that are involved in the preparation. I think that is the only part that I find a little bit insensitive. Why? Because a majority of people that we are addressing, we know that they live below the poverty line. And we know, much as the government would like to tell us that schools are free, I would want parents to flash to them the fee structures that parents usually receive. So it's very easy for you to say that education is free, but it is not free. Money is going to be required from parents, and there is no parents who would want to be embarrassed that schools are opened, but I'm not ready with money for my child. No parent would want to go through that embarrassment.
Okay, let's try and seek solutions now for parents who are watching. I'm sure they don't want this program to end before they have a clear idea on the way forward. And I want to start with you, Sec Gen Wilson Sosion, on this. What should parents look for in terms of preparedness of the institutions where they're expected to enroll their candidates from next week? Is there, again, a checklist, one that hopefully can be made public across the country, maybe, I don't know, major newspapers, I don't know, whatever that is, that would allow parents to say, on account of 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm comfortable. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Wahiga. If you look at the checklist that the circular that has been released is circulating in the media by the Ministry of Education on exactly what needs to be done. That really forms the checklist. And it's very clear that students must have masks, they must sanitize or wash their hands. Those are very clear guidelines. And the schools have to prepare individually. And you see, if we talk at the national without cascading and devolving these activities to the school level, we'll be missing the point. And a lot of the work will begin on Monday. And I want to agree with Dr. Gitai of AMREP, who has said, yes, in this situation, let us reopen the schools cautiously. And what is being done here actually is cautious reopening. Because for primary schools, it's grade 4 and class 8. The class 7, 6, 3, 2, 1, and pre-primary, they are still at home. For secondary schools, it's only Form 4s. And this cautious reopening means all these checklist, the protocol issues shall be tested with the Form 4s, shall be implemented with class 8 and grade 4. And once that is done, then it will inform on what needs to be done by each individual school in preparation for receiving the rest of the students. And it's a very simple checklist. If it is about having a mask, that is not a big deal. And we had a very extensive and intensive consultations. And in our committee meeting, the representative of the parents' associations regularly called and networked with the parents across the country. And all the views that came to the table were the views that are representative of parents. And we think, by and large, the country may not be 100%, but the time to reopen schools is Monday, the 12th, as has been pronounced by the minister. Because in any case, it should have been 5th. Now that is forward by about a week. It is still not something very, very difficult. We can assure the parents that their children will be safe as per the guidelines that have been developed, which will be tested with the first cohort of students.
That's a very strong assurance to give.
The argument of we are not ready, yes, I give assurance parents that we think the necessary preparations have been put in place and there will be no cause for alarm. And we cannot have a lot of over-exaggerated expectation that we might not have isolated cases of diseases spiking out, but they will have to be managed.
Okay.
And Wahiga, I want to be very passionate about one thing. Why should we reopen early? Kenyan parents raise the issues about their children repeating classes. There's been a lot of intense pressure from parents whose children are in class 8 and Form 4.
Okay.
And this was considered by the committee through consultation and implemented by government. That then, moving forward, we've lost about 24 weeks or 25 active academic weeks over the last 7 months. And we must recover this through innovative ways that will be school-based. And that is why the term days that have been released are so close. We'll have children taking a break of 1 week from 23rd of December and resuming again on 4th of January.
Okay.
And in fact, from 12th up to 23rd of December, it will be second term. And then third term from 4th of January to about 20th of March. And as you can see, we will be working, and teachers will be working extra hard to use available time to ensure that the lost time of 24 weeks is recovered. And you look at the national examinations period, administration and marking will be concluded towards the end of April.
Okay.
And that means 2021 academic year commences in the month of May. And it will still be a crash and intensive program that will require a lot of innovation and a lot of sacrifice from teachers so that the academic year 2021 is concluded in December, such that in 2022, the curriculum shall have normalized. The school calendar shall have normalized. And I think this one, it will call for a lot of sacrifice from teachers. And while teachers have sacrificed, they've been in school for 1 week, they will be in school for this 1 week, now that the term dates have been released. And I remember yesterday, during the World Teachers' Day, we demanded that the calendar be released so that teachers can prepare schemes of work, lesson plans, and all the necessary preparation. Now that this has been pronounced,
I'm going to have to cut you. Honorable Sosion. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so allow me to read the viewers' feedback as we wrap up this discussion. It's 10 to, I haven't done the business and sports yet, and I need to get to that. But this is what Kenyans are saying tonight. Let's start with the tweets. We're putting them up on the screen. Ranto says, Nat talks on behalf of the teachers who will safeguard interests of parents who lost jobs, closed businesses, and all can't raise school fees. That should be the pertinent question. Okay? Another tweet here. Engineer Davis says, just attend a BOM meeting to approve, Board of Management meeting to approve supplement, or just attended actually that meeting, to approve the supplementary budget for COVID-19 compliance. Approximately 400,000 Kenya shillings will be required for a school with approximately 600 students. Besides, the Ministry of Education has not released funds to pay support staff since May 2020. The storm is brewing. This is from Engineer Davis, a tweet. Okay, Kiplangat M22. I wonder if I'm one of the teachers in this country and Sosion is saying we have been prepared. Where? And what has been done? Stop cheating. Nothing has been done on the ground. Where are the sanitizers and thermoguns? Or do I live in a different Kenya? Okay. It's a strong view there. Brevin Owino, yes, I will. Okay, yes, you will take your child to school. This is Kenya. We'll never be ready for schools reopening. We just have to take the bull by its horns. Just look at what politicians are doing. Aha. In relation to a story that we also did earlier by Stephen Leto. Okay, viewers here, no name or where you're writing in from. You say, no, I cannot allow my child to go to school in a situation like this. We should wait for next year. Okay, wait for 2021. Peter Lemayan, we won't send them back. There is no money. Okay, Dan from Utawala, let the government donate to schools the masks and PPEs that are rotting at KEMSA. Wow, that's a strong one. So I don't know if I have time to get 30 seconds from everyone, Monica, or do we? But it really has to be 30 seconds. Let me start with Zach. Last word, please, and keep it short.
Can I go?
Yes, you have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Moro. I'll maintain my 30 seconds, and this 30 seconds goes to the parent who is watching tonight or who will talk to the person who was not watching tonight. One, the government committed to full-blown reopening in due time when we have arrested the situation as it is. That is number one. If you are a parent watching this evening and you have a child in grade 4, you have a child in class 8, you have a young adult, you have children doing examinations in Tibet and universities.
Okay.
Take this word, prepare and take your children back to school on Monday. And this is the assurance of government that everything shall be done.
Okay.
Don't worry about money as Ouko.
Okay.
We are preparing to disburse money to schools. Delay is not denial. Let us look at schools. Let our children find relief back here.
Okay. Thank you for that. Janet, your 30 seconds now.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think that assurance coming in there, we will be following you hot on heels, because we are saying the only responsible thing to do is for government to send money to schools, and parents will send their children to school as well. Okay.
And Sosion, you have the last word. Make it brief.
Yes, thank you. I wish to state very clearly that from our assessment, we believe teachers are safer in schools than at home. And therefore, we need all the children back in school in the fullness of time, and we hope schools will be safe. And then finally, teachers really will need a lot of support in caring for your children and in covering the curriculum content.
Okay.
And therefore, we urge parents to give teachers total cooperation and total support.
Okay.
And the primary form of cooperation is bringing all the children back to school.
Okay.
Then we deal with the issues and challenges as we move on.
Thank you.
It is now time for Kenya, which is a reference country in education in Africa, to reopen schools. Schools must reopen. Let us not politicize. Let us prepare mentally as a country and get our children back to school. It is time to be in school for our children.
Thank you, Honorable Sosion. So we've had Wilson Sosion, Secretary General, NAT, joining us for this discussion, Zach Inudi, Education Chief Administrative Secretary, and Janet Muthoni Ouko, former CEC Education, Nairobi County as well. They've shared their views. What are your thoughts? Keep sending in your feedback as well. And remember, right here at Citizen TV over the next couple of days, we will have comprehensive coverage of what it means for return to school, whether for Form 4, Standard 8, or Grade 4 pupils as well. And we'll endeavor to address a lot of the issues and a lot of the questions that many of you are asking tonight. Let's take that break now. We'll be back with more updates.